There we go. This is episode 168. And we've everyone has kind of been on a busy schedule. We had parts of the Quarkus team was in Slovenia 2 weeks ago, and been quite busy since. But so we don't have any specific news, at least not today. And we've been doing these sessions from on and off, and we still not want to do reruns, but we thought, hey, there might be a few things that we want to go back to the basics. We've gone through a lot of extensions, so now it would be good to do like Quarkus, for instance. Let's go back to some stuff in core. And Martin volunteered, or maybe he got one, to cover Qute. And we have Eric here today too to ask all the good questions. So yeah.
Did you volunteer or were you voluntold?
I don't want to tell. no, I'm happy. No, I'm really happy to be here and talk about Qute again. So just for those who never heard about it, Qute stands for Quarkus templating. So it's a templating engine that we built specifically for Quarkus to leverage all the goodies we have there. And Max already mentioned that we already had some sessions about Qute. So today we have just a few fundamental examples or something like that. And we'll walk through this demo application. Max, could you post the link to the, the chat?
I'll do.
Because it's available on GitHub, so you can clone the repo and just follow the code and play with this. It's really simple, but we would like to demonstrate the basics like type-safe templates, extension methods, some integration with JAX-RS, HTMX even, and whatever. Yeah, Qute maybe. That's one extension that did not exist when we had the last session.
Yeah. Yeah, so everyone just ask questions. We'll cover basics, but we can go deep. Martin knows everything about Quarkus. So.
Yes, exactly. So we added a ton of features to Qute during the years, so it's hard to choose like the most popular ones. But if you have any questions, feel free to write.
So I know I'm going to annoy you now, because one of the questions we had when we had this meetup, we had a BOF, community BOF. And one of the questions was a bit, let's call it interesting, and you probably know which one it is in a few minutes. Well, someone said, hey, why did you do Qute? Why didn't you just go and add free mark or velocity, or I think the head or mustache or something?
Yeah.
I think that's, I know the answer, but
that's an obvious question, and it makes sense, because we have a ton of templating engines in every language you can imagine, including Java. And back, I don't know how many years, 4 years back or something like that, when we tried to find a perfect solution with Quarkus, we looked at all those existing solutions, and we had basically a set of goals that we wanted to achieve, including type-safe templates and perfect integration with Quarkus and reactive, fitting the reactive story and so on. And at that time, none of the existing frameworks, templating engines, met our requirements. So that was the reason why we created something from scratch, basically. But it's not like creating everything from scratch. We just try to get inspired from various frameworks and libraries, so that it's just basically just a compilation of the best of the features we found.
And also the important, so the other angle the audience member had was like, well, why didn't you just tell people what you needed and then we can get them fixed? But the problem was 5 years ago, this notion about build time compilation and native image and that stuff was just starting, right? It wasn't even begun. Like the Quarkus was got out and kind of put it on the map. Before that, when you try to reach out to a community, they'll be like, wow, we don't want to care.
Yeah, exactly. Like for this kind of stuff, we needed a lot of extension points, let's say. And most of those extension points were kind of I don't know, hard to grasp for those libraries because they don't care about build time. Usually, it's most of the templating engines are runtime only, and they also one of the goals for when we started Qute was also Quarkus attempts to minimize deflection usage, right? And most of the engines that exist use reflection heavily, and they don't care about replacing this stuff with something else.
And it's important to remember, Quarkus isn't just Qute, right? It's just Qute is the one we did to basically make it the most, let's call it the most Quarkus. But you can use FreeMarker and others with Quarkus.
Yeah, we even have FreeMarker Quarkus extension, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But on the other hand, you can also use Qt standalone if you want to use Qt in your application. It won't be that nice because most of the build time, features will be missing, but you can still use it standalone. So
we actually got our first question here. Maybe we can from Stupendous Follow 65. He's been here before. I remember the name. It says, does Qt type safety significantly affect Quarkus dev startup time when you have lots of Qt templates?
So we don't have any measurement for this, but obviously we need to validate every expression in every template if the type info is available. On the other hand, unless you have like, I don't know, 10,000 of templates with thousands of expressions, you will probably not notice any.
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't think the thing is that the stuff that Qt does is it's not heavy. It's just that it's more about the time it does it, right? Like you actually get the more if dev. Let's say we didn't do this at dev startup time, then in dev mode you would not be told that hey you mistyped a property or something. You have to actually execute it first. And I guess the actual times, like it's about getting the early warnings that we are willing to spend the time. And I guess,
yeah.
I was gonna say from my own perspective, I mean, I spent a lot of time in the past in other ecosystems in FreeMarker. And I know like so many times developers would just push changes and we weren't doing automated testing with like Selenium or anything like that. And you'd have like just a typo in your variable name, or you like the syntax in your looping or your if statement wrong, or you define the macro wrong, and you don't know until you deploy the stuff that hey, this whole thing is broken.
Well, not even deploy, but also execute that.
Yeah, deploy and execute until you're. It's like, hey, let's call it a beta because we didn't test it. We'll let our users find all the bugs for us, right? So I feel like this compile time, like checking stuff, is super powerful.
So I'll say to the answers the vendors follow is, the answer is no. And if you see that it takes time, that we consider that a bug, like actually a bug, right? If you have 10,000 of or even if you show up and have like 10 templates and they're taking time, then yeah, we are definitely interested. If you have 10,000, I'll love to hear about it.
Yeah, if you experience any performance problems related to this validation, you should file an issue and we'll take a look at it. It should be fine.
So cool, Martin. You had a demo. You want me to share the screen now or wait?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'll just run my application in the dev mode so we can play with it. Let's wait until it's running. So in our demo application, we have, I don't know, 4 templates, I believe, and 4 use cases basically. So we want to show some of the features and discuss the possibilities. And it seems to be running. If you look at the POM file, it's a regular application. I mean, I started with code.quarkus.io and so on. The only thing or extensions I added was Quarkus REST Qute. Quarkus REST Qute is basically an integration of Qute in the JAX-RS world. So let's see what it does in a few seconds. I added Quarkus Web Bundler, which is a very nice extension that allows you to bundle JavaScript and style sheet and so on in your web app in a breeze. And for the last demo, I also added Hibernate Reactive panache because I wanted to show the how Qt fits the reactive world. And that's basically it. Yeah, maybe also Qt Web, but we'll talk about it later. And that's it. So very simple project. Uh, this is the very first example we have, and it's not like starting from the scratch, like showing the very basics of Qt, but this is a very common use case. So very often Qt is used as a templating engine, like for server-side templates of your web app. And in this case, we are using plain JAX-RS resource that serves a page. In our case, it's an HTML page, and this is rendered or provided by Qt. So this is how it looks like. We have a simple hello resource class, and we have one method that defines the resource method. In our case, it's a simple HTTP GET, and it has a path parameter called name. As you can see, from this method, we return template instance. This is already a type from Qt, and this is where the JAX-RS or REST user reactive, whatever we call it, integration kicks in. Template instance is basically an instance of the template when we are rendering something, and the integration under the hood does all this stuff for you. I mean, calling appropriate methods to render the template. And the other interesting part here is this class called templates, annotated with check template. It's defines or declares one method that is static native, which is kind of weird for most of the developers, but that's the only way how to define a static method that doesn't have a method body in Java so far. We have an alternative syntax for those who don't like this. I'll show it a few moments later. And this one basically defines a type-safe template. What does it mean? Well, when we want to perform validation of the template during build or when the dev mode is running during restarts, live reloads, we must be able somehow bind or map Java types to output expressions in the template. And this is one of the ways where we basically say that this template will have a parameter called name, and it will have a type Golang string. As you can see, we have a nice integration in VS Code. So I can immediately see here that there is an existing template, means a text file that represents the template. And I can click it and open it immediately. So I'll click on it, and this is the text file that represents the template. And it's very simple, as you can see. It's an HTML page. This part is handled by the web bundler extension. So that's basically something that says include all the JavaScript on all the style sheets and whatever you find in my application. That's all you have to do, and it outputs the correct text in the head of the HTML document. And then we have the header of the page, which says hello, and this one is actually a dynamic part rendered by Qt. So we call it output expression because it outputs something to the template. And in this case, we start with the name, which is the template parameter. As you can see, this one, the parameter of the type safe template. So that if I look at this expression, it is part of this expression. It tells me that it's a string. And from now on, I can validate that to uppercase is actually a valid property or method, because Golang string contains this method, right? And the other thing we have here is other way of binding types to the output expressions. This is another expression that has a specific namespace which is called CDI. So if you ever used frameworks like JSF or GSP or whatever, there was a possibility that you could use named beans directly in expression language. So we support something similar. So in my application, there is a CDI bean, which is a very simple singleton class, but it has a very special annotation. It's called named. And this named annotation basically says that if I want to use this bean in my template, I have to use this. It could be defaulted, the name. If I remove this part, it will be defaulted. But I have a specific name that is app. So if I look at the template again, where is it? Oh, sorry, I just did something very wrong. Move place. Hello. So in this case, CDI is a namespace that says, hey, try to look up a CDI bean with name app, which is the first part after the namespace. And then we can continue with properties, methods, and so on. In this case, we have a method or property mode and also uptime. So in both of these cases, we can validate that the CDI bean, which is called or named app, has a property mode and also uptime. And we can continue because we know the type of the uptime property, right? So in this case, uptime is a duration. So we can validate that there is 2 seconds method actually. So now if I try to run my, oh, it's already there. So this is the result of this page, right? We say hello foo is coming from the path parameter, and we use 2 uppercase methods, so it's uppercase, and then we also have the app is in the mode and runs for some time. And in our case, if I reload it, I can see it runs for 77 seconds and it's in the dev mode. Now, what happens if I do a mistake, right? That's why we care about these types of validation. So first of all, we also have our VS Code integration also tells you that there is a mistake. But now, if I run my template, I get this page, which tells me, hey, property method to top. What did I write there? Uppercase is not found on class string, which is exactly what you need because there is a typo, you want to fix that, right? So I'll fix that again, and it runs again. You can see that the uptime is now 0 seconds because we did live error, which means that we lose the state.
So Martin, when maybe my memory is wrong. When did we have the thing where it actually adds the source code into the error page? That's fairly new, isn't it?
No, that's very old. No, by the way, if you get the same exception or the same error in the terminal, but it's not so nice. Like you get an exception and you get some warning or message.
I just realized because we can actually link to the IDE from the web page. That's what it's missing.
Yes, that should be possible as well. Yeah.
So here's a question. So this, because you're using REST-easy reactive, is the rendering of this on a worker thread or is it on the IO thread?
Rendering this, in this case, it should be on a worker thread because it doesn't have non-blocking annotation or does not return any asynchronous type, which is, I believe, the way how REST-easy reactive handles the resource methods. We actually had, because Qute matches or fits the reactive story nicely, so we had an exception that if you return template instance from the resource method, it's rendered on the event loop. But we recently, I don't know whether it's half a year or so, we removed this feature because it was confusing. So right now you would have to return uni or something like that in order to make it, or maybe just non-blocking, that would work, like annotating the method non-blocking, and this would cause uh, the method to be executed on the end loop, right?
Yep.
So you can use it in both. I mean, Qt doesn't really care. We don't have for example, if you use Hibernate Reactive, you have to use the code has to be executed on the event loop. There's no way. If you execute the code on a worker thread, you get a big error and everything blows up. In case of Qt, we don't really care. We do have basically a synchronous resolution in Qt, which means that we don't block until we try to render the template. I mean, build the final result. So it's not blocking, but it could be used in both words. Okay. Yeah. So I talked about, just to repeat, we have a way we need a way how to bind or map Java types to dynamic parts of the template. We call them output expressions usually. And in order to do that, we can either use types-safe templates, which is the functionality described here. You write some code in your Java, and then we map this automatically to the templates. You can use CDI beans directly, where basically it works out of the box because we know the type of the bean. I also promise you that we have an alternative syntax for those who don't like the static native. So if I comment this static native stuff, we have a way how to write these using Java records. So I can write it, try to rewrite this thing like this, and implements template instance. So now I need to import template instance and add-on. So now instead of calling the static method, I can say return new hello and pass name. This works basically in the same way, except that we use very specific record that implements our template instance. We again take the parameters and these are validated, so it should be the same result. Seems to work.
And it still gives you the type safe checking and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's all the same. The only downside here is that we still don't support the records in the ID, so that you don't get those nice things like if I comment this back. You see, we don't have, for example, this. I have a problem here. Yeah, I need to call this template. The templates. Hello. So, for example, this is added by the ID. That tells me there is a template which maps to this type safe template. This doesn't work for the records, but other than that, it's all behaves the same way. So you get the warnings and the errors during build and so on.
So maybe I'm my brain is just not woken up with it. How does it know if you go back to record? How does it actually know at build time what it is? Because there's no annotation, nor is there.
Well, it implements the template instance, which is our special type.
Got
So
it.
that's how we find it. Because in Quarkus you can query the whole application, and we can say, give me all the records that implement this very specific interface. So we don't need the annotation at all.
You don't need annotation. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we analyze the parameters of the record, which is the same like in this case, right?
Could you have it return the hello instead of template instance? Would that work?
Hello record. I don't think so, because we need to be I think that the JAX-Saras integration or CC Reactive integration would not work correctly.
Okay.
Because it would be more complicated. We would have to, analyze the return type and check all these.
Class
It would,
hierarchy.
it would be possible, but I don't think it would work.
No, I'm just saying if it breaks, like instead of saying return the generic template instance, just return the specific hello. That was my.
Yeah, I never tried it, and I don't want to try it now. But we can open an issue. By the way, we also have an open issue for integration of these records in the ID, because we believe, I don't know which version of Java, is it Java 26 or something like that, where static native will be quite problematic. So it's kind of a hack even now, because we don't call a native code under the hood. So we need an alternative. So this record stuff is kind of seems to work fine.
So why would templates have to be a class? Why couldn't you make it an interface?
Yes. So I had this discussion with one of our colleagues. Say goodbye to Steph, and he was really he wanted to call the type-safe template from any part of the code, not only from beans. That was the reason, because right now it's a static method or record, so that could be used from any Java code basically. Whereas if you say it's an interface, you would have to either inject it, which means CDI bin or stuff like that, or the other approach would be to have some additional code that will look up the interface and the implementation and so on. So that was the reason why we went with the static, native, or record.
Does the IDE integration work in IntelliJ? I'm an IntelliJ guy, and I haven't seen that before.
To be honest, I'm not sure, because I'm an Eclipse user, so I'm using VS Code just for the demo.
If you install the Quarkus tools, the free one, there should be something. But I also know the commercial one has some support, but I don't know how much they have.
Yeah, I believe that the best support will be in VS Code, because that's the primary target, I believe. But it should probably work in other IDs as well. It basically it's very nice, because it already also has auto-completion and so on. So that if you, in your template, if you start in here, because I have the name is a string, it allows me to auto-complete all the methods and all the properties and so on. So that's really nice. Yeah, that's probably all about the basic example we have. The first one. If there are no questions, guys, hopefully not.
Not at this moment, no.
Yeah. So let's continue with another example. This one is basically the same. We have again JAX-RS controller, let's say, or resource method that returns the template. We're using type-safe template again, and it's again implemented as a static native method. But this time I wanted to show something we call template extension. So from the beginning, we wanted Qt to be very extensible in many ways, and even for users or for integrators, because it's a templating engine and it's like using a regular programming language. There are many users and all need something. They all need something different. So one of the things we added was a possibility to add template extension methods, which are again static methods annotated with special annotation called template extension. And these are used if you need to add something to existing types, existing Java types. So it's very similar to, for example, Kotlin has those extension methods. But in case of Kotlin, it works in the whole application, in any part of the code. Template extensions obviously work only in templates. And in our case, I wanted to add a property called reversed to any string in my template. And as you can see, the implementation is really simple. I just wanted to use reverse the ordering of the characters. So I'm using string builder here. It's very simple, but it doesn't exist on the string, right? And we don't control the string class, which is very often the case, where you get some pojos or data objects or something, but you cannot really modify them because you don't own them, and you want to add some computed property or virtual method or whatever. So in this case, we just wanted to add this reverse. So I'll open the other template. Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is that if you use typeset templates like this, we have a convention that the template is located in a special directory, which is derived from the parent class of the class that defines the typeset template. It sounds difficult, but in this case, we basically have a directory called hello results x method. And in this directory, we have a template hello HTML, which maps to this method. So if I open this, it's again a very simple template. We have bundle, which includes all the stuff that we don't need at the moment. And we also have hello and one single output expression here. And as you can see, it's again string. I can see that it's a string. So I'm using the repeat method, which repeats the string, in our case twice. And then I wanted to reverse the ordering, right? So there is no such property on the string, but we have a template extension method. So when we validate this template, it's okay. We don't fail. And even in the auto-completion, you will see this reversed here, the reversed the extension method.
And
So-
Martin, while you're here in HTML, finish your thought.
I just wanted to see what happens, just prove that it works. So if I do hello, how is it? X method max, yeah, here. So it works, at least it seems to work, because we have max and we repeat it twice and then we reverse the order. Right.
So we had a question here, like from Arando Martinez, who says, with all respect for your amazing work, what is the advantage of using Qute versus React?
So first of all, Qute is about server-side rendering. You cannot use it in your client, right? React is a JavaScript library that is used on, in your browser, whereas Qute is a server-side technology, which seems to be in today's world like something a bit outdated, but it's a different technology.
Yeah, and then the advantages here is like let's call it the normal. Why do you want to do server side versus client side? And so the things we've done extra that's in Qute compared to others is like, well, one is on the server side, but you get the warning at build time. React has the same issues that you have to render the page to get the issues. I think there's some type safety, but not as much as we have for Qute. So yeah. Okay.
It's definitely not the same in the sense that we're still talking about Java, right? So we're talking about Java types, Java validation, and so on, which is a different world compared to React. So this is one of the possibilities how you can extend those APIs and so on. We have many others, but it doesn't make sense to walk through all of them and so on. This one is quick and nice, and it works pretty well. If you look at the method signature, there is again some convention that says that the first parameter is actually the type you're adding the stuff to. So in this case, we are adding a property to the string type, right? And then you can have multiple parameters and various options, but we don't care about this right now. Okay, so this works fine. And now I have one last thing. Oh, no, I actually have two things, but we'll see how much time we have. This one is about the feature that was added specifically for HTMX. So I believe that many people already worked with HTMX or saw some demo or something. It's basically a JavaScript library that allows you to send Ajax and server-side events and whatever from HTML without JavaScript, so that you can directly in your text you write something. It's very similar to, I don't know, JSF, for example, where you used Ajax but you didn't write a single line of JavaScript code. And in order to make better support in Qt, we introduced something which is called fragments. Fragments means that I'll open the first template now. Fragments means that you can define inside your template, you can define fragments that can be rendered separately, which basically means that in your UI, you can say, please give me or render for me this specific part of the template. So if you look at the template we have here, it's again very simple. We have HTML, we have bundler, which is now useful because under the hood it includes the HTMX stuff for us. I mean the JavaScript tag. We again say hello name from HTMX. Nice, that's the same what we had before. But now we have an interesting part which is called fragment. This is something we call section in Qt. Basically, you have an output expression or section, which is something like a tag. And in this case, we say there is a fragment called app info. What this does under the hood is that there is an API that allows you to render this particular part of the template separately. In this part, we have what we had in previous templates, like the app is in the mode, blah, blah, blah. And then we have just timestamp so that you believe me that it's Ajax. That's it. On the server, if you look at where is it? Hello results HTMX. It's again very simple. We have one method to return the whole template. In this case, we're using query parameter. That's why I have here as query and not the path parameter. But then we have one more results method that is used to render the fragment, the part of the template we want to render using Ajax. And we also have one more static native method here because we again want to use type safety in our fragments. So the convention here is that you use the name of the template, then the $sign or string sign, I don't know how it's called, and then the name of the fragment. So this again, when you build the application, we validate that there is a template hello located in hello results HTMX and that it has a fragment app info. If there wasn't this fragment, it would fail again during build.
So two questions here. So one, can I do that with records too, or that's?
You mean the fragments?
Yeah, can I avoid the static native with records?
Yes, it should work. But again, I didn't try it. So it should be the same. The logic should be the same. Like you use again the record, and the name will be hello $sign app info, and this would serve as a fragment. But I think that again the IDE integration is not ready yet for records, so it would not tell you all the stuff.
And just a question: the fragments in the HTML, I guess, it has to be top level, right? Like any context outside will be ignored, right?
It will be ignored, or when you render the fragment, yes, then only the fragment part is rendered, and everything outside is ignored.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show the demo actually, so that we see whether it actually works. And so we again have. So as you can see, we have a page that was generated at, and we have a nice timestamp here. This is again just to prove that it works. And this part is actually the part that is rendered every 2 seconds. If you look at the template again, I don't know whether we actually showed it. Yes, there is a div in here, and it has two special attributes. One is HXGet and HXTrigger. So this basically tells the HTMX library to every 2 seconds to send a request with Ajax and request this particular path, which is in our case the fragment. So this HTTP GET maps to our this one to this resource method, and we return not the whole page or not the whole template, but only the specific template. If you look at the network, it's visible. You can see that there are requests sent, and if you look at the response row, so we can see that the thing that we return from the server is the fragment part, which is only the div that shows the development mode and the uptime, right? So it's that simple, like nothing special, but it works pretty nice, and you don't need any special libraries for that or anything like that. So I hope it's all clear, at least the fragments part. If you have any questions or any doubts, then you can definitely take a look at our Qute reference guide in the docs, which is full of information, and we also have some examples in the getting started guide and so on.
I think there's a question about, can you nest fragments within each other?
Is it possible to nest?
You mean nesting fragments inside, like in here, having another
fragment inside of a fragment?
To be honest, I don't remember when we implemented this or not, but it's a good topic for a Quarkus GitHub discussion. So if you have a question, feel free to create a discussion there. To be honest, we have tons of features in Qute, and I don't even remember how I implemented that. So it's many times I have to, take a look at the docs and in the code and in the tests whether we actually support it or not. So it's a great question for the discussion.
We have one that just says, "Oh, nice to see the Qute template engine seems to be a nice alternative to Timleaf."
Yes, it's in some cases it's similar. In some cases it's a completely different templating engine, but yeah, it's a good alternative. Yeah, and the last thing I want to show, or the last example, is actually the how Qute fits the reactive story of Quarkus, because as we said, when we started, we had some goals, and one of the goals was to be able to use Qute in the reactive pipeline, let's say, so that it doesn't block. And in order to achieve that, we basically made all the resolution API asynchronous. So the only thing that blocks is when we have everything ready and we only basically builds the final output. And as a consequence, what you can do is that you can basically take a non-blocking client. In our case, we'll be using Hibernate Reactive to query the database and use it directly in your template. No problem. So what we have now is we need an entity, because of in Quarkus, that's the preferred way how to work with databases. So we have a Panache entity, which is an extended JPA. It has properties name, surname. We also added one special annotation here, which is called a template data. And we added that because we want to use this entity and its static methods directly in a template. So this annotation basically tells Qute to generate something so that we are able to use the static method, which is defined here, list all sorted by name directly in a template. Because we're using Hibernate Reactive, we have one more annotation here, which is used to activate the Hibernate Reactive session. And that's all. That's the Java part. And we're using, in this example, we are using Qute Web. which is an extension, a very simple extension that basically takes templates located in a special directory and exposes them using HTTP direct, like automatically. So in our case, if we look at the resources of our application, there is a directory pub, like public, and we have a template called people here. And in this template, we again use the web bundle to include all the styling and so on. But the important part here is that we have a for loop here, which is another very common syntax used in Qt to iterate over something. And this is the default way, or the default default namespace when using static methods, because we cannot use dots here. Dots are replaced with underscores. So in this case, I'm saying, please take a look at class which is located in package org acme, and its name is person, and I want to call this list or sorted by name method. As you can see, the ID tells me that it returns uname, which is an asynchronous type. But we don't care because we have asynchronous API, resolution API, so we can work with unis, no problem. And again, we see that the person that is basically for each iteration, we receive a person object and it's of type person here, so that we can validate that name is there, surname is there, and ID is there. ID is provided by Panache.
So here, one thing that kind of jumps out at me here is while you're giving flexibility, it's allowing the user to embed business logic in the template directly, which some people might say is...
Yeah, not necessarily include business logic, but basically avoid defining controllers for simple use cases. Because as we showed already, we can use, for example, CDI directly in the templates. You don't need the controller for this. You don't need the checks resource method for this. In this case, we're using just a Panache entity because we want a simple report of entities, right? We don't need, again, a controller that will... What would you do in that controller, in that resource method would be calling this method directly, right? So for these cases, you don't really need any unnecessary Java code. You just write a template and use we have many other possibilities how to get the data in there. But these are the most common ones, CDI and static methods coming from, for example, Panache entity or something like that.
Yes, you can add nasty code in, but it's hard. Like, it's not recommended.
Yeah, so when we designed Qt, one of the goals, at the time, was to avoid using too much logic in templates, because we believe that, or at least I believe that, templates should be probably not logicless, that's not possible or realistic, but at least minimal logic should be there. So it's not about adding your logic in the sense of defining, I don't know, do you remember scriptlets in JSP?
Oh yeah, you can define your whole code right there in the JSP page.
That's definitely not the goal. We should avoid that at any price. But yeah, at some point you can call your code directly from the templates, which is convenient. Right? In this case, it is, because I don't need any logic here. I just want to display, for example, my table from the database. Why would I write or add additional technology just because I would basically call those things, that application peer, CD application peer, or person entity from the resource method and then pass it to the template? Yeah. That's not necessary. So if I look at the result, because we want to see whether it actually works, right? So it should be like this. Again, the styles are included by the web bundler, and we just iterate over the entities found in the database. In our case, it's just the dev mode, so we don't have any real database. We have a container running and some import SQL, right? So these are the data that we are actually showing in our template.
We have a question that's a bit, again, I think the client side, server side stuff, but
Yes.
before I ask the question, I just want to highlight for people also, like you're showing HTML as an example of using Qute. You can also use Qute for your mails or your Markdown documents or your JSON document. Like, it's not limited to HTML.
Yeah, that's a good question and good point, Max. We have, for example, nice integration with Quarkus Mailer, which is an extension that allows you to easily, compose your email messages and send them. But it's a general purpose templating engine, so it's up to you where you want to use it.
Because then the question comes.
Yeah.
The question that was here, like, will it be possible, from Andre Maluta, will it be possible to interact with Qute server-side pass variables from JavaScript scripts? And this is because I'm saying this person is probably thinking this is like the HTML part and JavaScript is linked together. We don't have any specific support for it, right? But
no, we don't have anything specific. We actually have an issue, an enhancement request or something like that, to be able to call the stuff from JavaScript and vice versa somehow. But I don't know. It's
but that's more in the web bundler web part, not Qute specifically, I assume, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, what I've done in the past, this is kind of the poor man's approach, is you could actually put some script tags on the template, and you could render like set initial state of variables with data coming from Qute, and then it gets to the browser, and the browser sees that and starts playing with it. But it's kind of hacky.
And we have in DevUI, we have this JSON RPC implementation where objects on the server can be exposed to the client. But then which is very useful for limited stuff, but if you do it generically, you're gonna leak a lot of data. So I know Philip has an interest in making something available where you can call back. But that's a level higher than Qute. It's just what I'm trying to get to. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just one last thing I wanted to show that so far we only show the web pages and write things like that. And I mentioned the mailer extension or whatever you use, but we also have an API so that you can use Qute from anywhere in your app. So I will try to add something here to my app bin. So because it's a CDI bin, I can do post construct, right? I can add a post construct callback, which is invoked immediately when the bean is created. And because the bean is annotated with at startup, it's initialized or created because it's singleton when the application starts. But we also have something called Qute, which is a simple class where you can call method format or formatter, which is a shortcut. And the cool thing is that inside this template or inside this formatted message, you can use basically the same stuff like we used in the template. I mean the web pages. So I will try to hopefully it will work. I just copied the stuff from the table, right? From the table page, people page, where we showed all the people sorted by name, and I can use it. This method just returns a string, so I will just use log_info, and that's it. So now if I go to my terminal, where is it? Oh, we have a problem. A web bundler, something. I don't know what it is.
I think that's the demo. If you're not running the latest main, I think you have the bug found. Like, you have to restart and then.
Okay, but anyway, we have any other problem here. My point was to show that this is a way how to use the Qute templates, which are not like separated in a file somewhere, but you can use it for anything you want. And under the hood, we use the engine, the same engine that is used for those pages, right? So there are many possibilities how you can use the templates. The problem here is that sometimes if you use this, then there is no build-time validation, for example, right? Because we don't know the template actually exists. But other than that, it works in the same way. Okay, so I rather remove the method since it doesn't work. Cool. So that's probably all I have for today. As I said, if anyone has a question or a topic that he wants to discuss, she wants to discuss, then we have Quarkus discussions, GitHub issues, Zulip, whatever, ping us.
Perfect. Yeah. No, and we actually on time. That's a good thing. So that's good.
Not like last week when you went over by an hour, right?
Yeah, but that was a very much more arbitrary, or not sorry, arbitrary complex concept of legal and a lawyer. So no, but no, thank you, Martin. And yeah, let's try and be good to people and make it short, or short. It's like 2 minutes short. So good. And if we got questions, I think it's good. A good reminder of the stuff we have. So awesome, Martin. I'll turn off for day and.